Alright, so this is my 70 F100 here, and I've noticed that the rear differential has started to leak on me, and it's just a 9-inch 370 geared axle. But it also has a wallered out drain plug, and I've tried to drill it out and use an easy out and everything I know how to get it out. I've tried welding bolts to it underneath the truck. It's just been too difficult. So what I'm going to do is pull the axles, pull the whole center section out of the diff, and I'm going to put it on my bench to where I can actually be close up to it and weld something on and get that plug out, and also reseal the rear end and knock out two things at once. So we may as well get started. Tire out of the way. So that stud there has come loose. Alright, so the next thing is going to be to get these drums off. I won't record me doing the other side because it's just taking a tire off. So try to get these drums off here. That came off really easy. Okay, so it looks like next we got some, if you guys don't know, on a Ford 9-inch you have 4 bolts that hold the axle in here, and they have a hole here where you can put your socket through and line it up with that nut there, and pull this axle out. So we'll get these 4 axle nuts out here, and you don't have to take your brakes off. You don't have to worry about taking your brakes off. So. Alright, so now we're going to try to pull this axle. They usually come out pretty easy, but we're just going to grab a hold of it, start pulling on it. Looks like it's come a little loose, but you got this plate here. You can try to kind of pull this plate back, kind of lift, pull at the same time. Another thing you can do, and it looks like it's going to kind of fight us a little bit, you can also take your drum here, put it back on backwards, and thread a few lugs in. Thread a few of these lug nuts on here. That one ain't gonna want to thread on there real well. You don't have to get them super tight or anything. You can kind of use a kind of use the drum to pull it, help you pull it. Just kind of tighten it up there. There we go. So we've got it loose. Go ahead and push make sure your drums stay there. But you can see this bearing here that rides in there. It's that's kind of what you got to do, is kind of fight that out. But this really helps. So we'll get this loose and then take this axle out of here. Okay, so we're here on the other side. I'll get these four. I got the tire off and the drum off. Get these 4 bolts out here. So this is what I was talking about earlier. On your 9-inch, you got this hole, and what it's for is you can look through the hole and line it up with that nut. And there's 4 of them. You can get it loose and turn it. There's another one, and vice versa on the other side. And like I said, you don't have to take your brakes off. There's no need to remove your brakes. When you pull this axle out, it will kind of move your whole brake assembly back. And what you can do is just push them bolts back through and prop this back up where it was. So not really a big deal. You ain't got to worry about jacking with that. So let's just get these 4 bolts out here and then pull this axle, and we can move on to the middle section. Okay, so I've had this apart recently to replace the wheel seal back here. The wheel seal was leaking, and so I'm hoping that this will just come right out for me, and it did. So you can see what I mentioned earlier. The whole assembly is going to kind of come back, but what you can do is kind of prop that back up on there, and there when a bolt, those bolts slide through the back and keep that thing up there. But we pull that axle out here and kind of shove these bolts. Bear with me here. I'm going to shove these bolts back through the back of this drum. And here's another one. Oops. And these bolts have a little, they're kind of squared off so they don't move. So when you're tightening or loosening them, they don't move. And I'm sure a lot of you guys already know this. These Ford 9-inch rear ends are pretty popular in like race car applications, just because they're strong and they're simple, because you can pull the axles right out and pull the whole center section. Here's our axle right there. So let's move on to the drive shaft. All right, so here we're under the truck and we got our drive shaft here. And we just got 4 half-inch bolts we got to take out here and pull this drive shaft back and get it out of the way. And I won't bore you with that. And it looks like these are 9/16 bolts holding this whole front center section in. And this is going to be a little tricky doing this because I'm sure this thing weighs a lot. So I'll try my best to get that on film, but we'll go ahead and get this drive shaft out of here. Okay. Got the drive shaft out. Okay, so I'm here under the truck now, and I was gonna kind of go over with you guys what I got going on. Here's my drain plug. It's actually what that bolt is screwed into. I tried to get it out with an easy out and just put this in there just to seal it, so I could drive it one weekend. But it's just time for this whole thing to come out and get that fill plug taken care of, and then just reseal this whole thing. This rear end, I think it's in pretty good shape. There's no noises, there's no clanking, or everything's good. So we're gonna pull this whole center section out and inspect it on the bench and actually be able to get that drain plug out of there, get it all cleaned up. And I'm kind of debating on whether I should have just maybe jacked this thing up, put it on the frame, and just pulled the whole rear end out, because all that really holds it is the shocks and the U-bolts. But we're this far, we're gonna try it this way and see what we can do. I've already got the 9/16 bolts out with the impact. There's 2 down here on the bottom that you need to get with an open end wrench right there, and I've got 3 up here kind of holding it in. And from the research I've done, is these kind of need to come out forward. So definitely would have been easier to do it out of the truck, but like I said, we're this far along. So it's got these copper washers. I've been trying to kind of peel them off of there, but I think that what I'm going to do is maybe just take kind of a hammer and kind of beat on it around and try to get it broke loose. I don't want to be prying on nothing, so a hammer's not going to hurt this unit here. We're just going to try to kind of break that seal loose. So I'll get back with you guys hopefully when this thing is draining. All right guys, it's finally separated and draining. So I'm gonna let this drain for a little while and then I'll pull it out. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get footage of me pulling this out of here. It probably weighs a considerable amount. So next time you see this thing, it'll probably be up on the bench. What I did is took a screwdriver, I kind of beat it around a little bit with a dead blow, and kind of got it broke free, removed these washers, and I still got the 3 bolts on top about halfway out. But I took a screwdriver, I don't know if you can see that, but I ground it down really good and kind of made it almost like a pry tool so it wouldn't mar up that edge, and it worked really good. I kind of beat it in there, and what we'll do is we'll clean up that surface. It shouldn't have no nicks or anything in it, but we'll make sure that surface is clean and straight when we put this back together. But I'm gonna let this drain, and then the next time you see this, it'll probably be up on the bench. All right, so we got the center section out. Kind of had to use a jack as I pried it back and pulled it back. Couldn't really film it because this thing weighs a ton, but we got it out of there, and that's all that matters. It'd be better having someone else help you. I did it myself with that jack and just trying to keep it straight, but it's kind of sketchy, so I wouldn't recommend that. But you can see, I'll show you guys the gear set here. Everything's in really good shape. There's no big metal, I don't see no gashes anywhere. All the teeth look the same. I mean, of course there's going to be a little wear, but I don't honestly know a whole lot about rebuilding a rear end or anything, but everything looks good to me. I did not see any metal shavings whatsoever. Nothing to throw up any red flags. And over here, this is the drain plug I tried getting out underneath the truck, and it'll be a lot easier now here in my face. But I actually drilled the hole and tried to get an easy out, and that it still wouldn't turn. So we're gonna get this all nice and clean, and we'll get this thing out somehow. Get the pumpkin itself cleaned underneath the truck and get our new gasket in. We'll have a nice freshly sealed 9-inch rear end here. I'm not going to mess with the pinion seal right now. I don't think it's leaking. I think that a lot of this grease and stuff is just from it leaking around the main seal. And if I do end up noticing a leak down the road, we can always do this underneath the truck. So I'm not going to mess with it right now. The main thing is trying to get this all back together and to where we can drive it again. And like I said, if we want to do this down the road, we can do it. That's not a big deal. So all right, so I've been working on this center section here for a little while. I finally got the drain plug removed, and it went about the way I thought it would. I've tried using an easy out and some heat while it was out of the truck, and that didn't work, and I gave it my all. Stuck a bolt in there, tried welding an extension in there, and it just didn't stick. Probably from the lack of, I'm not a very good welder, and there's just a lot of grime and stuff around here. I couldn't get a clean weld on it without it going onto this surface here. So finally I had to just take a drill bit and basically take a drill bit at a time and go bigger and bigger and bigger and kind of chisel out the rest of it. And we still got a little bit of it in here, but I can't get it out, so I'm gonna call that good. The only bad thing about this is now I got metal shavings in the case, so I'm gonna take some brake clean and get all these metal shavings out, get this thing really, really clean, and then I got to get under the truck and get the surface for the gasket scraped off, get all that really clean, and that's kind of going to be the goal today, is get this thing back in. I'm going to have to try to figure out what size drain plug these took originally, and I'm going to try to make that work. I think it should thread in there, but so we're in business, and I'm going to work on getting this clean and get that rear end clean underneath the truck. Okay, so here's our differential, all empty, and that's kind of what it looks like with nothing in there. And we got this gasket I got to scrape off, and we'll get that scraped off, and I'll probably take some take a Brillo pad and or a Scotch-Brite pad and some brake clean the surface up real nice. And we'll do the same thing on the with the center section, and we'll take some black RTV and lightly put it on the surface and on the center section surface, and we'll get the gasket in there. And that's how I always do it. A lot of guys just use a regular RTV and don't even use a gasket, but this one had a gasket on it and it worked, so worked for a lot of years, so that's what we're gonna do. This old gasket has sure been on here many years. It's being a pain for sure. All right, that's much better. We went ahead and got the gasket off. Went ahead and wire wheeled it, Scotch-Brite it with some brake clean, and wiped it with a rag. And you can see the little black and stuff here, but it's smooth. That's about as good as I can get it. I've spent a little time on it, so it's a nice smooth surface now. Should be good to bond to that gasket and some RTV. All right, so I got it all cleaned up here, and it's ready to go back in. Got the surfaces all clean, so I need to get some gasket sealer and put a little bit on this face here, a little bit on the rear end face itself, and then get our gasket put on there, and we can get this big behemoth thing underneath there and start bolting it up. It's gonna be kind of a challenge, but we'll get it. All right, I got my gasket down here. I put a light layer of black RTV between the gasket and between the gasket and the differential itself, and I'm going to do the same between the center section
and this gasket when we put it in. And some people don't like doing it this way, but I've hardly ever had a leak doing it this way, so this is the way I do it. So now we got to get that thing in here and get it mounted on these studs. All right, we got it in there. Well, we got it in. It was kind of a struggle, but I managed to kind of prop it up on my knee as I rolled underneath the truck, and I got it in there. Got the new gasket in there, got new crush washers behind those nuts there, torqued it to 35 foot-pounds. Now we just need to get these axles back in, tires back in. I got the drive shaft done already, and we'll probably wait till this evening or tomorrow to fill it with fluid, and I need to find a drain plug that'll fit that now. So we should be good. Go ahead and put these back in here. Kind of gotta, when you put these in, you kind of gotta lift up on the back and just kind of be careful with it. It should just go right in. Okay. Plate. Bolts back through the plate there. And that'll do it. Oops, let's hit on that thing. This go around, I'm gonna use a wrench. I'm a firm believer in not using an impact on reassembly on about anything besides wheels and tires. And even then, I like checking them by hand. I had a wheel stud right here that fell out on me. It was a new wheel stud. I'll go ahead and put that back in. Not a big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and do crisscross pattern on this. Just kind of get it snugged up for now. Alright, I'm not really finding the torque spec on these, but usually I just put them on there where they're pretty tight. I'm going to go ahead and torque them down to 40 foot-pounds. Get it kind of snugged up first. Almost torqued. That axle was in. Just get these nuts on here now. And in case you guys wonder, these the flat side goes in. Go ahead and put our drums back on. Got two different size lug nuts here. I don't know why. Bought them at the same place and they ended up being two different sizes. So. All right, so there you have it. She's pretty well done. All I got to do now is fill it up with fluid, but I'm gonna wait for a little while. That silicone I used, it likes to have 24 hours to cure, and I don't want to take no chances. So what I'll do is pump it in with a hand pump I got, and I'm gonna use some of this STP gear oil. I got a little hand pump I can stick down on there and pump it up in the differential. And also I'll try to find a plug. So I had to run to town and get a plug sometime, but other than that, it's done. The rear end is now serviced. It'll have new fluid in it, no more leaks, and we got our drain plug issue fixed. So I'm gonna leave it jacked up till I get that done, but I appreciate you guys watching. This is something a little different. Kind of actually took you through the process of this. Hopefully we have some driving videos out on this soon. I've been driving around a lot of fun to drive. It's just been so cold, so we ain't got no heat in it yet, but stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be some more to come. Let me know if you like this kind of stuff, and have a good day.